Hey traders, good morning. It's the Cowboy. We are on the 6th of April. Let's do a chart review here for today and see where things stand. All right, so on the first place here, it's oil is getting a little bit of a boost, but we remain in this consolidation, and I have no real view on it. Longer term, I'm pretty much looking for further advances, but it seems that it continues to consolidate. So it's up about 3% on the day. It's helping the energy market. Today it's the the XLE, which is the energy sector, is kind of the leader overall in the S&P 500 gains, which continues to look pretty solid on there. Silver is also pulling back slightly in here, which is nice to see, along with gold. Gold is about 1744, so it almost created this double bottom in here, and we're as I've said into my written update up there, we're looking for a climb above the 50-day moving average. One of those triggers I think is going to be about 1813, I think, and things could start to look interesting for gold in here. It's good to see that we're getting a little bit of a recovery in there, and I think it's also related to the dollar weakness. Litecoin, we initiated a long position on here. I'll jump and take a look at the Motive Wave charts on there, but I think this one is on its way to higher levels here on that fifth wave. S&P 500, so euro, right, it's recovering in here with the dollar weakness. The SPYs here, S&P 500, it's making new highs. We're at about 4,083. This market continues to remain bullish, so there is no signal there of anything else. The junk bonds, returning higher in here, which is a risk-on move. So Dow Jones is pretty much flat on the day, but I think it's going to continue to move to new highs. Dollar index, it's moving lower per our expectation from the 200-day moving average. So we're getting that weakness that we were looking for, and this should kind of continue to help risk assets. Yields are pretty much flat in here. The 30-year, actually, it's pulling back, but it's been pretty much in a consolidation since the end of the February. So for about a month, we kind of stopped going aggressively higher in yields, and the markets continue to like that. Bitcoin, it's pulling back slightly. We'll jump on Motive Wave and take a look on there as well. So with this kind of macro introduction covered, let's jump on to the charts and take a look. So let's start with Bitcoin. Not much has really changed since our coverage yesterday and overnight. This morning as well, right? So we're still monitoring this fourth wave primary completion in here, and I think this, as long as this 50,400 level remains untouched, there is a high chance that this is what's happening right now, and we're basically looking for the completion of this E-wave. With the advanced last night, I thought that maybe this E-wave is over, but you can see that the market is not happy with the proportion, and we're probably going to get another short sell-off in here, maybe come back towards 55, maybe even 54, and then kind of gain more strength and turn from there and break the 60,000 levels. So that's kind of what we're looking for as a trigger. As you kind of saw in Litecoin as well, we kind of bought on the break of the B wave, I think, and for a continuation to new highs. Overall, we remain in this uptrend, and it's there's not much really to say other than we're expecting higher prices in here. And kind of jumping back, I wanted to just kind of remind you of the chart room as well. I will update it, I think, either today or tomorrow, but things haven't really shifted much. So in terms of the weekly, we're still looking for this fourth wave. In terms of the daily time frame, I mean, you can see I posted this on March 28th. Here we are in April 6th, and we're still pretty much in this consolidation. So this remains our main. That's why sometimes I'm not changing this necessarily, because there is not a there is not a reason to update them just yet. So you can see that this pattern remains in favor back there. So let's take a look next here, and let's go and jump to some of these alts and see how things look. I've covered them yesterday as well, but I just want to go through them in just a slight more detail. To see where things stand. They are getting a little bit of a boost. You can see that the Bitcoin dominance is dropping a little bit, which helps some obviously gain some market share on there. So kind of going to the Ethereum, this one remains bullish. It is in a nice clean uptrend. I think we're still working the larger third wave, and that's the primary third wave. This intermediate could be digested in a couple of ways. highs. We could still do a triangle in here, like I said, but I think overall the targets remain towards 3,700. And if you jump back in here, right, this is kind of the weekly view, the 2-week view on here for Ethereum, and then here is our 1 week, so not much has changed there. So this was actually in March 21st, and then here we are, this was March 28th, and we broke into new highs in here, which is totally fine. It's in line with our older expectation for higher prices, right? So directionally we're totally fine, and I think there is no reason for right now to turn from this kind of projections, right, towards let's try to see if we can get toward 2,500 first, maybe 3,000, but overall we remain in this kind of clean uptrend in Ethereum, right? Let's take a look at Litecoin. So Litecoin did break up higher here above this D wave yesterday, which was the initial kind of trigger for to kind of put me in the camp that this market is ready to go long, after a period of consolidation in here. I don't know if this is the E wave. The problem is that if this is a failed D wave in here, which sometimes it happens, you would have this D back in here, just a quick burst above the B wave high and then a return lower, so that this D wave could actually be an ABC, like this, ABC, and then you go up. That's your D in there, right? And then you still fall lower and you do a E wave and then you rally. Okay, so I'm expecting that. I'm fine. The stops are below these levels. Originally I wanted to put them below here, but they were a little bit too large, and I think I'm okay with them being back at these levels, and we'll see what happens. But that's the idea, that the moment you kind of finish up this consolidation and you start to threaten some of the swing highs as part of a triangle, that's your trigger for the long. So we'll see if this works or not, but that's kind of the idea behind this trade. We're trying to initiate in a long here when we're remaining in this uptrend in the channel, and we're trying to see if we can get up there towards $400. I mean, 300 would be a pretty good target for this trade, but if we can squeeze a little bit more out of it, that's totally fine. Going to the charts in here for Litecoin, you can see how the trend remains here to the upside ever since we've hit those lows back in March of 2020, and then some of these subdivisions can be disputed, but what cannot be disputed is the fact that we're trending higher in the channel, and this is kind of where we are right now. This was, again, it's in March 28th, and now we are actually broken above this level right there, right? So this is in line with the overall projections that we have in Litecoin. Let's take a look at the next one here, Stellar. It's challenging to try to make new all-time I don't think it's new all-time highs, but at least, I don't know, 52-week highs, I should say, on Stellar. And it's more of an awkward looking triangle. I think that's probably something like that in an A, B, C. Maybe you have a D and a small E in there, right there towards the end, and that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe we're already finished in this fourth wave. I will feel more confident the moment we start to make new highs in here above 60, but it remains in line with the overall idea that we should be moving higher here in this fifth wave to complete this larger third wave intermediate pattern. And this is pretty similar story with what we have in Stellar. That's XRP, and then Link, let me see here, and then this is Stellar in here, right? So these are the weekly charts, so that's the idea, maybe a move towards 83 cents, and then you have the finished up of the fourth wave. We wanted to kind of stay above those 32 levels, which we did, 32 cents, and since then we've we pushed higher here, and we're challenging those highs back in there. So it's in line with our projections. So nothing really changed here in terms of the need to necessarily change discount at this point. we're still looking higher here towards 83 cents. So going back and taking a look at IOTA, it's another one that I briefly touched on yesterday as well. It remains in this kind of clean uptrend. We're looking higher in there as well, maybe towards $2, $3. Remember, we bought it as we were breaking out of here, and my kind of first initial targets were around 150, 1 to 150. You know, and the markets kind of reacted from those levels, pulled back to $1, and now we're trying to reassert the trend higher in IOTA, and that looks, you know, to me looks as a pretty clean uptrend, if you ask, right? It's just right now, I think if I place a channel in here, it's pretty much contained. So watch that near term, but I think overall we're going to be trending higher. And I don't know if I have it onto. I don't think I have it here. Do I? Let me see, guys. Into kind of my top coins. I don't think so. I don't think it's because I don't think it's in the top 10 at all. ADA, DOT, XRP, Link. Yeah, I don't have an overall picture into the IOTA. Maybe I'll introduce it and put it on there because it's a pretty solid one. It's got a good market cap. And let's go back and take a look at what's next. Tezos is in here, and I don't think it's on my list either, but it's I mean, it climbed above this 560, and I think at this moment I have to consider this wave 2 complete. So I'm going to take this second from here and shift this wave 2 like that on there, and that is there was a pullback into the 50%, and I think we're starting to work our longer third wave in here, which if I would do just, let's say, a let me see, a 3v1, 100% would take us to at about $10.43. So that would be a target, an initial target for equality with this wave 1. Much higher would take you to about $22, $23 in Tezos. It's kind of hard to imagine that that's quite possible. You would have to be a very, very strong move, which Tezos doesn't really do a lot. So maybe that's a little bit of a stretch, I think, even for this year. But maybe by the next year, those targets can actually be reached, if this is correct. I mean, if this ends up being some kind of a flat, I mean, the move from here, it's still not super, an impulsive move for right now. It looks more of a kind of a 3-wave advance. So you can have an A, you can have a B, and then you can actually turn back and do a C wave. And then that would be the end of the second wave, and then you start back the advance for the third. So I'm always kind of keeping an eye on those flats. They have to prove that that's what's going on. I don't like to trade them just guessing that it's possibly be a flat, and you're starting to short this, because it's the market is actually breaking to a new high. So actually, the moment we took this 564, this was another trigger that Tezos it's going to be doing well in here, and it's approaching the top of this channel. So that's another important thing to kind of watch. But again, going back to what I've said yesterday as well. Getting into Tezos on this drop, proved to be the good thing in there at about $3, and here we are, almost double from those levels, right? So we gotta watch these things when they happen, and take advantage. All right, let's take a look at the next one in here, and that's BNB, and this one, it remains in line with with the overall projections that we have right here, right, for BNB, right? BNB, it's I think it maybe even completed this 4th wave. If not, this is going to happen next. But this were the projections, and for right now, they're continuing to work as kind of we thought about it. More of a triangle and 4th. We're broke to new highs. We're probably doing this 5th wave of this 3rd. Still, we need another 4th and another 5th in this larger primary 3rd wave before this larger corrective move begins in the alts, and this is where your market is. You see, you just made new highs in here, and that's kind of what we're working right now. So, wave counting works. It's, more often than not, if you know kind of how the structures are supposed to unfold, that gives you a pretty clear direction of where things are and, how they develop in kind, with pretty solid accuracy, where you are in the sequence, because you cannot know precisely, if that's going to be the exact count, right? But, if you have between, let's say, I don't know, 60 to 75% confidence in that projection, right? That's pretty good in terms of, positioning yourself and making sure that, you take advantage of that situation best you can. And, another example is this BNB that broke to new highs, because, you could see that this pattern here it just didn't look complete. And even at this moment, I think we still got to do another fourth here and another fifth before this gets completed. So that's on BNB right there. And then let's take a look at DOT. So DOT has been challenging to new highs. It kind of made me place this fourth wave in here, right, which is totally fine. Let's take a look at, I think we have this, we're covering this one in here, right? So I only have it onto the weekly charts, which, we were looking at this as being the fourth. Since I posted this in March 19, the market actually dipped one more time. So it just did something like this, and then this fourth wave kind of finished, and now we're kind of challenging new highs. And if I go to the next chart in here, which I updated on March 28th, this was the fourth, and now we're kind of trying to work this fifth wave. Remember, the thought was like as an alternate, that this could be, what's actually going on here instead of, instead of necessarily this wave. Third, but the fact that this is still fairly small compared with this two, this tells me that the degree of trend at which this wave 4 unfolded, it's not this minor, but rather this minute wave 4. And then, we still got to do that and this, and then back up. Okay, so that's the look on that. Let me go and take a look at the next one in here. And that is, I think I wanted to touch a little bit on, let's take a look at Tronix really quickly. This one, it's, been bullish and, had a really nice advance. I think we've made, I think Tronix made new all-time highs, right? I don't think it's ever been this high, has it? At almost 14, 15, but I caution against the top of this trend line providing resistance ever since yesterday, as we were kind of breaking out of these levels. And for right now, we seem that we are, kind of pulling back from those levels. I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're still going to get another 4 and another 5 before we can call an end to this third, and then before this starts. And even if that happens, you're still going to push up higher in this fifth, because you're working with this larger third wave, intermediate up there, which this one is kind of short. So let me do a ratio analysis of 3v1, right? I mean, 100% is about 21 cents, and that's just the minimum objective for a third wave intermediate. So these are kind of near-term targets, maybe for the next few months, for Tronix to get to those levels. And let's take a look at the next one in here. Let's take a look at ADA and see how that does. This is pretty much in line with our projections as well. I think, as I've showed last night into the relative rotations as well, that it's losing a little bit of momentum, a little bit of power. But in terms of the overall wave counting structure, I still think we're following the correct count. Which is, a larger third wave intermediate, followed by a fourth and a fifth towards maybe $2.38. And you can see, I mean, this I've done it again in the March 28, and this has been, pretty much spot on with what we've had going on in here. So I think, we still probably, once we finish this corrective move, we're going to burst up higher in this fifth, 4, and then another move up higher in 5 towards 238 on there in ADA. Yep, I mean, you can see, right, we're right kind of up in there. I mean, you could even start, if you really want to say, you could even, maybe place this fourth wave in here, do this as a short fifth, this is your third, for example, and, now you're starting this fourth wave, which is, another, I mean, you're comparing with this one back in here, right? The risk is overall is that actually this third wave intermediate is already done up into these levels, right? And now we're starting a much larger advance that's kind of happening right now. Maybe that is the case. Remains to be seen. Even then, we're going to look for the push up higher. But this looks overall like a larger triangle, A, B, C, some kind of a D and E, and now we're trying to break out of it. But in terms of projection, I don't think we're done in this sequence. Maybe there's going to be one more push up higher before we do a larger correction in the larger third wave. This kind of a pullback, right, and this larger third wave primary. Let me see how that looks overall. 1, 2, and see, I mean 1618. Let's see where we are right now. Did we reach? I think we reached 100%. No, actually 100% was reached at about 63. Right, and the next target kind of for the third wave advance is we're kind of stalling at 138%. You could see, the level right there exactly at 144, and then the next kind of final target for a clean third wave advance would be 238. Now the markets don't always reward you with exact targets, but I think it's fair to assume that this deserves to move a little bit higher still. All right, let's take a look at the next one here, and I think it's Link on here. And let's go XRP, and then I'll go Link too, because XRP has broken out of that kind of inverse head and shoulder consolidation. I talked about this the moment, I said, hey, I think XRP, it's kind of finishing off in here. It's not much longer before this pattern appears complete. Watch for 64 as triggers to the upside, and the breakout kind of here came. So this was a pretty good trade. If you're able to kind of jump on it, let me know. I don't have a way to trade XRP. Maybe on KuCoin, but my account there, it's open, but it's not really active. I'm not trading on there. Overall, this looks, guys, as a as a good pattern. So going back onto our counts in here, this is again March 28th, right? I mean, look at this, right? We called for this fifth wave in here, right, which is coming. So maybe this was the end of this wave one. Now we correct back and we do a second wave and we start the larger advance, which can, who knows, maybe get us back to challenge the all-time highs in Ripple, which were at about $3, right? Still a long way to go. Similar story in here, right? March 28th with the fourth wave and with the push up higher in fifth. So you don't have to mess a lot, with these counts overall, in terms of, changing them a lot. It's just a matter of, looking a little bit of a longer time frame, see where you are in the sequence, and then kind of try to respect that as much as possible and try to eliminate some of the noise that happens day to day into the day-to-day basis, because you can see from one week to another things don't really change much when you kind of pull back and see kind of what's the overall trajectory of that price. So this is kind of where we are. In Ripple, and if you kind of pull back to look at this, I mean, this is a pretty solid inverse pattern. You had the big sell-off in here, which we're thinking it's a second wave. Then you've had, this is the right shoulder in here. This was kind of the left shoulder. You could say that, or maybe something smaller up there, right? I'm fine with that as well. But I mean, this was kind of a big neckline. You have this, I don't necessarily think it's a cup and handle, but more of this kind of rounding bottom in here. And, usually you take this measurement and you've targeted and you place it from this breakout, and it takes you much higher. So it's a similar story we've done in IOTA. It was exactly the same, mind you, maybe through a longer period of time, but it's kind of the same inverted pattern that screams a break to new high. So maybe now what's going to happen, if that's the top of the wave one and Ripple comes back and retests, so let's say the breakout level, and then you move to new high. So I would consider that maybe as a next opportunity to enter onto a long in Ripple. And let's finish up with Link, guys, and see. Link is again, it's trying to move, but it's got just a slower traction in here. I went back to the idea that this is possibly a leading diagonal in here, right? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then this was a second wave pullback. I wanted to give this second wave maybe a little bit more room to breathe, but the fact that we're we're pushing higher makes it hard for me to believe that this thing is some kind of a B wave, right? Because you would have to be on A, up in B, and then down in C to do the second, to move the second back in here. And I just don't see the market wanting to do that with the fact that we're actually pulling back from here. I could be wrong, but we remain focused on the upside, and the targets for this link, again, I think we can just easily double from here if it wants to kind of start to move. And again, going back to the chart room, this is link in here, and you could see that we wanted to give it a little bit more room here, up here on the 4-day chart, to kind of correct. We've hit the 38.2, but the overall idea is that we're going to break up higher here in this third wave intermediate, and actually link, instead of coming lower, right, a move above 32 should confirm it, and I think that's already happened. And so we should be on our way on this larger third wave, and yeah, we're at about 32.40 right now. So let's go, guys. I'll leave it at that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll look forward to talking to you soon in the room. Bye bye.